Hello everybody. We're going to talk about enum in C++ today. As a quick preview, this is basically a way to make our if and switch statements easier. So it's going to seem like you could do this in some other way without enum, and that's true, but this is a way to make things easier when we track states. That's the whole point of what we're going to talk about. So I want you to remember that we had talked about the idea that it would be really nice if we needed to track a set of directions, right? So if we're going left, right, straight, arrive. So how do we track that, right? That was one of the things we wanted to do. So what we found is that a switch statement could be a really easy way to do that, right? Having a switch is one way to track that. We can have if else, right? But switch is sometimes more convenient. So we can have something that looks like this, right? We have our action, our variable. We put that in a switch statement, and then we check the case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, so on, okay? So it's a simple way to track different options. But there's another way we can make this a little bit easier to read. And again, all we're trying to do is make it easier to read, okay? So notice that we have to remember that to means continue, okay? Now, that's fine. Maybe you just put a comment there. But one of the things that enum lets us do is it makes this a little bit easier to track. And easier to read code is always an improvement. So, enum. Enum is a user-defined data type. What that means is that you and I get to decide what the values will be. Okay? Basically, what it's letting us do is gives very specific labels to literal values. Okay? And it makes our code easier to read. Again, that's the whole point. So what we do is we need to define in enum, just like you would define an integer. Okay? It's a little bit, and I say this carefully, it's a little bit like defining a class, where you get to pick the name of the class, right? So we say enum, that's the special word, and then you say, okay, what kind of things am I trying to track? Like, what is the name of the category of things I'm trying to track? And then, curly brace, and you say, what values can this enum have? Okay? That's basically what you do. All your values generally start at 0, and you can increase that if you want. Okay, what does this actually look like? Okay, so let's go back to this example. We've got an integer here. We've got case 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? That's how we have this set up. Now, let's build this differently. Let's go, okay, you know what? We need to track 4 states or 4 actions. Okay? And so let's call these operations. So we say, oops, pardon me. We say enum, and then we say operation. So this is kind of like defining a class. You're defining the category of options that you're trying to create. And then you say, what options are available in this category? Well, there's left, right, straight, and arrive. And where did those come from? They came from you, right? You said, I'm going to make an easier way to label directions, and so these are the directions my self-driving car can take, right? If you were doing some other operation, then there would be different values. And just so you know that it doesn't matter so much, but basically these are constants, and they start at 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So they just get it, they get a value, but we don't really care about that all that much. Okay, so now you've defined, so this is the definition. Okay. And now, how do we use these? Okay, well now we create a operation variable, just like you would create an object. So you say the name of my enum operation, and then the name of my variable, action, right? So just like, and as an example, it's just like saying string message, or whatever you might do, okay? And so now you have to imagine that somehow your code, right, somehow in your code, you're going to give a value to operation. And so you might give it the value of straight. Now, where does straight come from? Straight was one of the values we established right here. So I can give it the value of straight. And now, here's where this all comes together. We then use this new operation to support our switch statement. So now instead of saying int, right, before we said int action, we don't have that. We have operation action. We have our switch statement just like normal. But now, instead of having to say case 0, case 1, case 2, and then not really be clear what those were, we simply say case right, case left, case straight, case arrive. Okay? So using enum is simply a simplification. That's all we use it for.